A glimpse into Persia. Prologue. The Sands of Time. The golden dunes of Persia stretched endlessly under the crimson sky, whispering secrets of an empire that once ruled the world. Caravans of merchants, scholars, and warriors had traversed these lands, leaving behind echoes of their glory. Persia, land of poets and kings, of fire temples and celestial gardens, was a realm where history and legend intertwined. This is the story of a traveler who dared to step into its heart, uncovering tales of love, war, and wisdom buried beneath the sands of time. Chapter 1. The Call of the East. The year was 1820, and the British Empire's reach extended far into the east. Among its many emissaries was Jonathan Whitmore, a scholar of ancient languages, who had spent years deciphering Persian manuscripts in the dimly lit halls of Oxford. One evening, an old merchant from Isfahan arrived at his doorstep, bearing a tattered scroll. "This was found near Persepolis," the merchant said, his voice like the rustling of desert winds. "It speaks of a treasure lost to time, the crown of Cyrus." Intrigued, Jonathan embarked on a journey to Persia, a land both enchanting and perilous. Chapter 2. The Gates of Isfahan. The city of Isfahan, half the world, as the poets called it, welcomed Jonathan with its grand bazaars and turquoise-domed mosques. The Shah Mosque stood in splendor, its intricate mosaics telling stories of divine beauty. Here, he met Layla, a fiery-eyed scholar and daughter of a Qajar nobleman. She knew the old tongues, Avestan, Pahlavi, and had heard whispers of the lost crown. "They say it was hidden when Alexander burned Persepolis," she murmured over cups of saffron tea. "But legends claim only a true heir of Persia can find it." Jonathan, though an outsider, felt the weight of destiny pulling him deeper into the mystery. Chapter 3. The Desert's Whisper. Guided by a nomadic tribesman, Jonathan and Layla ventured into the Dashti Cavern, the Great Salt Desert. The scorching sun punished them, and mirages played tricks on their minds. One night, as they camped near ruins older than memory, an old dervish appeared from the shadows. "You seek the crown of Cyrus?" he asked, his voice like dry leaves. "Then you must first answer the riddle of Zoroaster. What is the path of the righteous in a world of shadows?" Jonathan hesitated, but Layla answered without fear. "To walk with truth, even when the fire burns." The dervish smiled and pointed to a hidden path. Chapter 4. The Tomb of the Forgotten King. Beneath the ruins lay a chamber untouched for centuries. Murals of ancient kings adorned the walls: Darius, Xerxes, and finally, Cyrus the Great, the benevolent conqueror. At the center of the room sat a simple stone chest. With trembling hands, Jonathan opened it. But there was no crown of gold or jewels, only a scroll. "The true crown is not of metal, but of justice," it read in faded script. "He who rules with wisdom wears the crown of Cyrus." Jonathan understood then that the treasure was not an object, but an ideal, one that had shaped Persia's soul. Chapter 5. The Return. As Jonathan prepared to leave Persia, Layla stood at the harbor, her eyes filled with unspoken words. "Will you return?" she asked. "A man does not walk away from Persia unchanged," he replied. "I will carry its spirit with me." And as his ship sailed into the horizon, the winds carried the echoes of Hafez's poetry. "Be not absent from the world as the ignorant are, yet be not of it." The eternal Persia. Years later, in a London library, Jonathan penned his memoirs, A Glimpse into Persia. He wrote not of treasures or conquests, but of the soul of a civilization that had endured through millennia. For Persia was more than a land, It was an eternal flame, burning in the hearts of those who dared to seek its wisdom. And somewhere, beneath the same stars, Layla smiled, knowing the tale was far from over. Chapter 6: The Shadow of the Qajar Court. Upon returning to Isfahan, Jonathan and Layla found the city abuzz with unrest. The Qajar ruler, Fath Ali Shah, had grown paranoid, fearing European influence and internal dissent. His spies lurked in bazaars and caravanserais, watching for treachery. Layla's father, Mirza Hassan, a respected advisor, had fallen out of favor. The Shah believes the British seek to steal Persia's relics. Layla confided one evening in her family's walled garden, the scent of orange blossoms heavy in the air. If he learns of your search for the crown of Cyrus, he will see it as theft, or worse, a threat. Jonathan frowned. I seek no treasure. Only knowledge. To men like him, knowledge is power, she replied, her fingers tracing the rim of her teacup. And power is something he does not share. That night, soldiers arrived at Mirza Hassan's estate. Chapter 7: The Prison of Alamat. Accused of espionage, Jonathan was dragged before the Shah's vizier, a cunning man with a serpent's smile. A foreign scholar digging up our past? The vizier mused. Or a spy mapping our weaknesses? Before Jonathan could defend himself, he was sentenced to Alamat, the infamous mountain fortress once home to the assassins. The journey north was brutal. Chained in a caravan of prisoners, Jonathan endured the biting winds of the Alborz mountains. When the black towers of Alamat loomed ahead, a fellow captive whispered, Men enter Alamat. Few leave. Yet within those walls, Jonathan discovered an unexpected ally, an old librarian, Rostam, who had spent decades preserving texts the Shah wished forgotten. You seek the truth of Cyrus? Rostam asked, his voice like parchment. Then you must first understand why kings fear it. Chapter 8: The Blood of Anahita. Layla, refusing to abandon Jonathan, disguised herself as a merchant's wife and bribed her way into the fortress. Reunited in secret, they pored over Rostam's forbidden manuscripts. One passage spoke of Anahita, the ancient Persian goddess of wisdom, whose temple once held a relic, a silver vial containing the blood of the covenant, said to grant the ruler who drank it the wisdom of Cyrus. The Shah doesn't fear the crown, Rostam realized. He fears the truth it represents, that his rule is unjust. But the vial was hidden in Pasargadae, Cyrus's tomb, now guarded by the Shah's elite warriors. Chapter 9: The Fire of Rebellion. Escaping Alamat under cover of a sandstorm, Jonathan and Layla rode south. Along the way, they encountered Karam, a rebel leader whose tribe had been slaughtered by the Shah's tax collectors. We do not need foreign saviors, Karam sneered at Jonathan. But if you truly wish to honor Cyrus, help us strike at the heart of tyranny. A plan formed, one that would expose the Shah's corruption and restore Persia's legacy. Under a moonless sky, they infiltrated Pasargadae. The tomb's entrance was sealed, but Layla recited an ancient incantation from the Zoroastrian Avesta, and the stones groaned open. Inside, beside Cyrus's sarcophagus, rested the vial. Chapter 10: The Choice. As dawn broke, Jonathan stood before the Shah's palace, the vial in hand. Around him, Karam's rebels waited. Layla's eyes burned with resolve. Give it to the people, she urged. Let them know the Shah has betrayed Cyrus's legacy. But Rostam's warning echoed in Jonathan's mind. Wisdom forced is no wisdom at all. Instead of inciting revolt, Jonathan entered the palace alone. Before the stunned court, He raised the vial, and poured its contents onto the marble floor. The blood of Anahita was never meant to be drunk, he declared. It was a mirror. A king who seeks wisdom must first face his own reflection. The Shah, trembling with rage, ordered Jonathan's death, but the nobles, shamed, hesitated. In that silence, Layla stepped forward. Enough, she said, her voice cutting like a blade. Persia remembers its true kings. Epilogue: The Return of the Lion. Jonathan was exiled, but the seeds of change had been sown. Within a year, the Shah's grip faltered. Layla and Karim's rebellion grew, not as conquerors, but as restorers of the circle of justice, the ancient ideal that a ruler must protect the people to deserve the throne. Years later, in a quiet Oxford study, Jonathan received a letter. Inside was a single dried saffron petal, and a line of poetry. The lion sleeps not in the sun, but in the hearts of men. He smiled. Somewhere beyond the seas, Persia was awakening.